All right, I'm working on putting together some other videos of me working on stuff still, but figured I needed to whip one up here real quick for you guys for this Friday, since it's the day I try to post. But we're gonna go ahead and talk about the truck that I built about 13 years ago, I think, and it's on, I think it's the profile picture for my YouTube page right now. But anyways, it's been a pretty good truck. It's got some issues right now, and we're going to go ahead and talk about that. We're going to talk about the 1975 Club Cab that has the 12-valve Cummins swap in it. Yes, it is very dirty. I used to daily drive it, but it's got problems, which is what we're going to talk about here. I don't know why my flash is on. We'll turn that off. We don't need that. So, as you can see, which I really hate to wipe the dirt off like this, but the paint's getting pretty rough anyways. It's hard to see without the sunlight, but you know, it's a dark metallic green, and green interior. The seat is black and gray. Actual leather. This is vinyl. Had this custom done because I couldn't get it in green, so I just went black and gray. Did the black carpet. As you can see, it's very dirty. The truck hasn't been cleaned. You'd say 75. That's not 75 dash. Well, it's not. It's the dash out of the 92, because I decided when I built this truck to keep the wiring and the fuel system and everything out of the 92 diesel, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to swap the old dash in, because these trucks are so similar. So as you can see, we have the old style headliner for the Adventure Sport, and of course all the old jump seat style interior that the 75 came with, and then everything, all that's out of the 92. If I was doing this truck again, I would have left the old dash and done a custom panel in there for the gauges. I would have done some aftermarket ISPRO gauges, because they're very nice quality. I do have my gauges, my aftermarket ones here for to help monitor for my diesel engine stuff. They're the glow shift ones, you know, they change 4 or 5 different colors or whatever, but they kind of drive me nuts. They draw power off the battery when the truck's sitting, and this truck only has a single battery, because the first gen diesel only has the single. So when I start it, it memory flashes them, and then they don't stay on whatever color I set them on. So I got the first gen style extended cab, the pop-out windows, put those on. They do attach to a 70s truck. You just got to drill the holes and screw them on. And then got my old custom stickers. This window was actually in my second gen, or my first gen, not second gen, my first gen, my 92 with the Cummins. Then it was actually in the first cab, and then I cab swapped that truck, or did a whole body swap on it because it was rusted out. And that back window went into the second standard cab on that 92 chassis, and then I tore that apart because the frame was falling apart because of rust, and I put it in this Club Cab, which I got out of Eastern Oregon. So it was a desert truck, so it had very little rust. I had like one little hole in the passenger floorboard, but it has since then rusted more. We've got the embossed, or the stamped letter tailgate that everybody always wants, because it's probably the best tailgate they had. And to top it off, this being an Adventure Sport, it also has the big trim on it, which I love the trim. I love the trim on these trucks. Originally it had like the seafoam green on the rockers, and then it had the trim that went around there under the back window. It had the seafoam top. I took the trim off because I decided I didn't want to do the two-tone, and went with just the original dark green color. Like I said, Adventure Sport. There's the badge for it. It was a 3/4 ton originally. Still 3/4 ton frame. I did not plate the frame or box it in. Another thing I wish I would have done. But so the frame's a little, it does this, you know, it kind of, you put a lot of weight on it and the truck going down the road, it feels like it's bending in the middle. And I know my camera is focusing weird because of the lighting. And then you know, put a big super heavy duty hitch on it. It has, oh, there's a little spider, little jumping spider. I got a puck mount hitch system in it. This is actually, it's like the ones that come in the new Dodges, but this one's actually out of a Ford. I got a super good deal on it, and the hitch was brand new. Hadn't even had a trailer hooked to it when I got it. It also has the provision for the gooseneck ball in there, which I have not bought the ball kit for that, but I haven't needed to tow gooseneck, so excuse me. So I just haven't spent the money on it. But this fifth wheel hitch is, I've used it quite a bit more than I thought I would, because I live in a fifth wheel currently, have been for like way too long. But that's how I move it, is with this guy. We got the 2nd gen bumper, which a lot of people like to say is not a factory bumper. Maybe not for the 70s, but it is a Dodge bumper. There's your Pentastar on your factory license plate lights, and somewhere on here in the stampings there is a Pentastar. I can't remember, it might be underneath here on the edge. Since they came on a 2nd gen, they fit the body fitment is excellent. So my favorite step bumper are these 2nd gen bumpers. So chrome's a little rough on it. Of course, the plastic's got some scrape marks and, you know, whatnot. As you can see, it has 3rd gen wheels on it, and I do have a side dump exhaust. That's super handy because it allowed me to put the spare tire back underneath the back of the truck, but it turns this wheel black after a while, and it's kind of hard to get off. So it's kind of annoying. But I like having a spare tire because like I said, daily drove this truck. I drove it long distance towing and stuff. Of course, I built the truck, you know, several years ago, so it has endured some damage here and there. And my clear coat has started to fail, unfortunately. That's one of those, should have used the more expensive clear coat, even though it costs like twice as much. It wouldn't be flaking off. Like the hood, you can see all along there, the hood has gotten really bad on me. A lot of people think it's because there's no hood insulation, but there's no engine back there on my bed. There's, you know, the other spots that's bubbling, it's just cheap clear coat. It's got bad UV inhibitors in it, and it's done a good job protecting the green, but now that it's gone, it's not doing that. So this truck's due for a refresh if I'm going to keep it super nice, but it still looks really good. I should have done a video on this during the summer when I had it all cleaned up for the couple car shows that went to. But, you know, we got square body Chevy mirrors because they look nice, they do the job well, and they actually fit the shape of the door pretty close. There's a little bit, the Dodge doors are a little bit flatter, but with this plastic piece that comes with them, you know, you can see like a little gap right there where the stainless isn't quite tight against the plastic, but they fit nice and they're just a clean look. As far as towing, they do pretty good for most things, but like towing that fifth wheel, you can't see nothing. I really like my flip out mirrors, you know, the moose mirrors or whatever that everybody likes to hate on. I like those on my the 3rd gen. Well, they come on the 2nd gens, but that's my 2005 Power Wagon. They're super handy. I never use them really because I don't ever tow anything that's a big box, but it is nice to have them. You'll be able to flip them out if you need to. These cab lights, this truck did not come with cab lights. These are actually off of an Isuzu like NPR or whatever, the old like late 90s, early 2000s cab over Isuzu trucks, the little flat nose things you see like box trucks man out of and stuff all the time. I got a bunch of those, or I had a set, and I decided to put these on because I really like the cab lights. I like the look. But I decided to use these instead of the factory Dodge ones because these have a really nice rubber base that has like a rubber dip, like a dimple, or not dimple, like a nipple, or like it sticks out on the bottom where the wires come out, so it goes right into the hole that I put in the cab, and so they really seal on, and then the lenses come off of the base, so you can change light bulbs without having to unstick it from your cab. Those have been really good. I don't think they've leaked at all. I do have water leak problems, but it's been the drip rail. The seam sealer bubbled up and blistered on it, and water got under there. And then also these trucks are just notorious for the windshields leaking anyways. And I was kind of a dummy and tried to fill all that in, and now I got all that nasty stuff up in there. So if I take the time to strip this back down a little bit and do some body work, touch up some body work, do some paint, refresh on it, that's going to be fun. I added these lights. It already had these other holes in the bumper, so I just filled them with some bumper bolts. But those are super handy for driving in the rain, especially. The green lens makes it really nice. Kept the halogen lights. Everything's old school incandescent bulbs on this truck except for the light under the tailgate. That one's one of those potted LED ones. You know, it's all glued together with the things in it, but I might change that out to incandescent. I just like the look of the incandescents better. And then of course we've got the infamous Cummins turbo diesel 12 valve. This was an intercooled truck, being it was a 92. The only thing I had to do to fit the 92 radiators and everything in, which this is broken, I'll tell you why in a minute. I cut the hole wider in here, so you can see there's the intercooler right here. Got my tranny coolers, but to widen it so the intercooler could go through. And then I also cut off the original core support, these bracketry, the bracing, and I just took it all off at the spot welds and reapplied it in its proper location on the 75 core support, because my first gen core support was really rotten. My homemade AC condenser or heat exchanger, whatever you want to call it, this is out of a Honda Civic. It's got the fan on the back of it because this truck originally, it had one on the front of the intercooler, and it would make it stick out too far for the grill. I actually had to, I body rolled the valance panel right there. You can see it where it starts right here and then ends here. So I just hammered and dollied that over so it would clear the intercooler. These were already on the truck originally when the diesel truck, the doubled up tranny coolers. So I got all that stuff to tuck in there really nice. And I wasn't going to do air conditioning, but then I decided, because part of the dash swap, I actually sectioned out the firewall and used the heater box out of the second gen that had the air conditioning stuff in it originally. So I decided I wanted air conditioning because driving this truck down the down the highway doing 60 miles an hour, 65 miles an hour, and it's just loud, the wind's whipping and stuff, and during the summertime, and I don't like to be hot. So I found the AC hoses that went to that originally, and then I had a new AC compressor put in down there. Went and got this out of a junkyard, and got the fan wired up so it kicks on when the AC is on. And I had this one line had to have custom made there, and then this one line down here. I thought I was being pretty clever, but the problem is this holds about as much Freon as the thing in there, so it doesn't have time to heat exchange like it's supposed to. So it works okay going down the freeway because I get a lot of airflow. I cut holes through the core support. There's 3 big holes, so that way the air comes through and it goes through there. And of course, this thing runs off hot air, which is great for performance, but that might get changed in the future. I don't know. I mean, the truck does fine. it was doing really good for a really long time. But unfortunately, this being, like I said, the original, my 92, it was rusted out. It was a truck that was over on the coast. So this engine, along with everything else, was subject to a ton of corrosion from the salt air, which is why I tore the first gen Cummins truck apart, and I put it into this truck because this had a good frame, good body, and all that. The engine, which it's not stock, but the engine internals are. It's got a fuel pan. I've adjusted some things on it. It's got the 3200 governor spring in it. As you can see, if you know, those are ARP head studs. And when I put those in, I got a new 3-piece manifold because the original one had warped. And I did this BD Super B turbo. I don't remember the specs on it at this point. It's got a smaller compressor housing than the original turbo, and my original turbo, I had changed the exhaust side housing out on it to get it to spool, because it wouldn't spool like at all when it was with the stock exhaust housing, as it was so big. This exhaust housing is slightly bigger. I want to say the one I put on my original turbo was like a 14 centimeter or whatever, and this one's a 16. So there's a little bit of boost lag. Now it takes a second to get up on the boost, so I get a nice little thick cloud of black smoke for a second, just a little poof, and it clears right up, and the truck takes off like a rape ape. It is just, and comparatively towards what it was stock, this is by no means a drag truck. It runs like 16.5s in the quarter mile when everything's working correctly. The rust problem that the other truck had caught me, I think, oh man, it's been 6 or 7, I want to say probably close to 7 years ago. This was supposed to get fixed a long time ago. This engine was supposed to come out and get fixed a very long time ago, but I have been so busy with life stuff, and I've just been using it, and it takes it, and it's recently starting to tell me it needs to be taken care of sooner than later, because the coolant temperature, it increases a lot quicker than it used to. This has a blown head gasket, and it has had a blown head gasket for like 7 or 8 years, and I don't, like I said, I don't daily drive it anymore, and I don't use it for towing often unless I need to, but I have towed a few things with it. The tow truck came home on the back of this truck, if you've seen that short that I posted of that. And the tow truck's not super heavy, but it's heavy enough. And I was driving through, some of the back, foothills out here in Oregon, southern Oregon area. Or I guess not southern. Why did I say southern? We're in the central Oregon, and out here in the valley, there's some little rolling foothills out here in the valley. I don't know why I said southern Oregon. Anyways, the rust got in between the head gasket and the block and the head gasket and the head, and it actually stretched the original head bolts and blew the head gasket. I had bought a new radiator that had a little ding in it. It was slightly damaged, and so I got it for a good deal, because it had been damaged on the fin or whatever, and it was repaired. It's in here. Got it marked down because of that, and then I put it in, and it was in here for quite a while, because the original one, all this had the salt had eaten all the fins out of it, so it just had the tubes left. Well, this happened. It cracked. As you can see, it's leaking coolant. It cracked down here. The boost pressure made this thing just pop. It stretched out, popped it. This has been repaired once already. I had this repaired. I did a head gasket, I did head studs. When I took this off, I found the horrible mess of rust At the time I didn't have the money or the time I really needed the truck back on the road, because this was my only tow vehicle at the time. And I had a big trip coming up and I was going to be towing, and I needed to have the truck back. So I took the chance of, I wire wheeled and not flapper disc, but the little roll lock sander things, and I tried to just polish up and clean the head and the block as best as I could, and tried to keep it as level and smooth as I could. I used a straight edge and all that good stuff, but the rust pitting was so bad. I used the good head gasket. I think it was a Molly or might have been a Felpro. Anyways, it was one that, the gasket that everybody says you gotta, you want to use. Did the ARP head studs, and then of course I upgraded the exhaust and the turbo, because the turbo was kind of a turd and the exhaust manifold was warped and it was leaking like half the ports because it wouldn't sit flush to the head anymore. I did that. I actually warped the exhaust manifold when I drag raced this. I did a drag racing one season with it, just for fun on Friday, like the Friday night fun drags. I didn't do brackets or anything, but I had done that, and then like 2 years later, or like a year later, I don't know, the head gasket failed. So anyways, I did all this, had the radiator repaired, put it all back together, and I think it made it about 3 months and the radiator split again. And my coolant temperature likes to rise with boost pressure, and all the pretty typical signs of you've got problems, and judging by this information and stuff, obviously I'm getting a lot of pressure in the cooling system. Funny thing is if this is only on one click, so the radiator, which it's down a little bit, but that's the funny thing, it doesn't burn coolant, it forces it out of the system. So what I do to help this situation, because I'm lazy and don't have the money mostly, and I really hate to tear apart a truck that was done, but this thing's getting enough age on it, it needs a refresh. You put the cap on. I put it on one click, which I'm sure people are going to be like, oh my god, but one click, so it's not actually sealed. If I tow a heavy trailer and I'm like on the freeway and accelerate hard, and then if I don't come off the throttle like at a nice steady, like slow pace, like back off the throttle nice and slow, if I just let off of it, the boost surge, a little bit of boost surge that this has, it will blow coolant out of this, and the way the air flows over this truck, it comes out of the grill and it goes right up and goes all over the windshield. So I've done that a couple times, but yeah, so that's the big issue with this truck, and why I guess you could say I neglect it, because it's all dirty and whatever, but it is under a roof. It doesn't really get rained on. This is actually a lot more dirty than it normally is, kind of, because I was pressure washing the this fiberglass nose cone that opens on my trailer up on the top, and it kind of all blew down on the truck. So and I just realized that I left my battery hooked up, which is probably dead now, so we'll have to go ahead and put a battery charger on this thing here. I'll just grab one here so I don't forget. I got a mess. I need to put some stuff away, but getting ready to move soon, so it's hard to get too crazy about trying to organize and stuff. So this is all original paint inside here. I did not repaint the engine compartment, and this is some of the proof here. I got the original Mopar anti-freeze label. Kind of silly, but I have the original jack. The jack's not down here. I took it out to make room for that, but it used to be in there, and I've got the jack handle and stuff in there. It's just kind of silly. That's just for fun, I guess. But yeah, all this green paint on the hinges, the bottom of the hood is, well, there's more original labels. These are all the option stickers. This truck had 2 option stickers, so it tells you a little bit about how much stuff it had on it. Got my jack sticker there still. This is all original. Oh, the other thing is radiator sticks up a little bit. A lot of people, they say you got to put like the first gen or like the 79 80 hood on to clear. If you cut a hole here and a hole here and a hole here, they actually clear all this, and it looks like, which I just noticed that, looks like I misaligned that one a little bit. It looks like it maybe touches sometimes, but something I can address later. It hasn't been an issue really, but yeah, so original paint there. So, and you can see on the camera, it's actually showing the color a lot more than with my eyes, but you know, it's practically identically the same color. And then this is original 70s paint that has like lead and a bunch of stuff in it that you don't get in paint anymore, and this is modern paint. So I was very happy that they were able to mix it so good. So other things about this truck. So it's a 75 body and frame. It's the 92 12 valve wiring, the automatic transmission, transfer case is it's got a 205 transfer case in it. The fuel system, yeah, all the electrical, everything electrical all the way to the back. It's all the wiring stuff and everything out of my 92. It has the Kingpin 60 front end, and then I upgraded the rear to a disc brake 70. I think it's a 70, maybe it's an 80, but it's a disc brake rear end out of a 2002. So when I did that, I also or I did that first. I did the rear end first, then went to the discs. I could tell the brakes were a little funny because, you know, I still had the original brake booster master cylinder. I did a Hydro Boost conversion because this first gen trucks don't come with Hydro Boost, they're vacuum boost. But I did the Hydro Boost in master cylinder out of like a 2000, I want to say it came out of like a 09 to 14 truck. There's one hole on the mount plate for that Hydro Boost that you have to drill that's like misaligned from the factory holes. Other than that, the push rod that goes to your pedal and everything, pretty much a bolt-in part. And then I got the hose, the Hydro Booster hose kit for a, I want to say like a 90, I think 94 to 97 Dodge is what it was supposed to fit. So those are all factory style replacement Hydro Boost hoses off of a second gen Cummins, and I just hooked it all up to the stock power steering pump. The one thing I did that was kind of hokey, which I thought would probably be a problem, but so far it hasn't, is that right there, that T, that's the return line to the power steering pump. So you've got the return hose from the Hydro Boost that tees into it, and then the return hose from the power steering box. The second gen trucks have the power steering pump has the body of it has the two nipples on it for the hoses to go to instead of just one. But so that's something I might change at some point, just to make sure I have better flow on the line, the return lines there for the power steering system. But I'm also not running a cooler, which is kind of silly to not do. That's something else I should probably add into the system, because I'm sure that the power steering fluid gets a lot hotter with the Hydro Boost and the power steering. But like I said, it's been like that for several years. Well, yeah, like 7 or 8 years. Or did I do that before the head gasket issue? I think I did. I don't know. It's been in there for quite a while. It hasn't been a problem necessarily, but it's not ideal. So yeah, there's the Kingpin 60. Added a steering stabilizer. I've had some steering problems with this truck. The rotors got warped really bad on it, and it kind of messed up the tie rod ends. It messed up my drag link from the steering box, because this is still running, you know, the old style. I replaced all that, replaced the tie rods. It's had this tendency to try to wander and stuff, which it used to not do. I wasn't driving the truck daily. Somebody from my past life, my past relationships, was dailying the truck, and the rotors warped out really bad, and they didn't tell me. And then I got in it one day and about went off the road because they shook so bad, and I wasn't aware. And yeah, ever since then I've just been fighting to fix that. So the Kingpins have been I took the springs out. I put like the urethane bushing block thing in there that pushes positive pressure on it, like a lot of pressure, and doesn't allow that bushing to move at all. It's got new bearings, it's got new bushings, it's got new everything's new. And I right now it's the best it's been, but like I said, I haven't daily driven the truck for a long time because of the head gasket issue, and so I just haven't finished it. I think my tie rod ends, the threaded part, is too long for how far the threads go in the bar, and I've had to, the old ones, I actually had to cut like a 1/2 inch of threads off of them so they'd actually go all the way into the threaded part of the bar. So I think I need to do that. Still, mile marker hubs, stainless steel, they're really good. I don't know how good they are off-road, but they've been great on this. And so yeah, anyways, it deserves to be on the road, it deserves to be daily driven, it deserves to be, maybe not daily driven, but it definitely deserves to be daily driver status again. I'm kind of waiting until I actually have down over here somewhere, there's a 12 valve out of a 2nd gen truck that caught on fire, that's supposed to be a good engine. Anyways, I know it's not a coastal engine, so I'm going to tear it down, kind of clean it up, probably just throw some new gaskets in it, get it ready, and then I'm actually going to pull the cab off of this truck. I'll take this engine out, take all the accessories and everything off, put it on the other engine, and I have a 47RH transmission. I'm going to do a 47RH upgrade to this, because this right now has the 3-speed with the overdrive. So it's just basically a Torque Flight 727 with the overdrive unit on it. I don't remember what they call that one, the 518 or whatever it is. Doesn't really matter. It's been great. I mean, I've beat on that transmission, and it is stock. I don't even know if I shift. I don't think it's even got a shift kit in this thing. It's just taking it. And this bed's original too. I didn't do anything to that. So this truck wasn't too beat up, but originally it was a camper hauler. It had dual frame mounted tanks, and it had a rear one, and they had actually put the filler neck right here. So the body, I didn't get the body work quite right on that. And then this whole side was actually caved in too. And I pulled it all back out and did some filler work. And if you look at it, I don't know if you can see it, you can kind of see the dimples. It's not perfect, but this truck, I didn't build it as a show truck. It was built to be a daily driver tow rig. So let me get, the lighting's terrible. So that's the 75 Club Cab with the Cummins in it, an old 12 valve. I think I covered pretty much everything about it that I did to it and what it's got going on. And like I said, hopefully soon-ish, or sooner, I will get it fixed where I can actually jump in this thing and daily drive it again and tow things and not have to be thinking about it. I got off track with all the personal life things that have gone on over the last few years, and I've bought other vehicles. I wanted one of these when I was in high school, and I got one, the new Power Wagon, and my mom had one of these goofy 2-door neons, and I always wanted one, and so I found this and found stuff for that and whatever, and the roof rack and whatever. So been busy just trying to go to work, pay bills, pay things off, get things caught up, stockpiling parts, vehicles, projects that I want. And like I said, I got a lot more. I'll do some walk around videos of. There's a couple of them back there that have cool stories that I'll be getting to someday. And that one, I already did a video of that one. I need to get it going too. But anyways, yeah, so that's the 75 Club Cab with the 12 valve in it. It's the one that's on all my pictures of everything. It's the nicest one I have right now, and soon to be refreshed and be a little bit nicer. But anyways, there it is. Thanks for watching.